Yes, so now the stage is yours.
Thank you for your introductions, and it is my great honor to be here as a speaker. And today I'm talking about our strategies for the interventions for the space closure and space management for the patient who have congenital missing, especially for the growing children. And how about the prevalence of the missing? From a meta-analysis, it was reported the wide range of missings from 6 to 7%. But interestingly, in the lower studies from the Chongqing and Korean University, we have higher prevalence of the absence, up to 11%. And the most frequent absence area is mandibular incisors and premolar. And those two are highly strongly associated with impacted canine and peri-retrolis. And when you face a patient who have congenital missing, you have two considerations. You have to decide between space closure and space regaining. You may decide your optimal treatment planning based on aesthetic, function, and retention. And with the help of mainstream, now you can make your treatment plan in reality. So, how about the outcomes from the dental implants? It is old study from the Orthodontic Journal, and this journal shows that compare many kind of oral rehabilitations from dental implants and conventional prosthetics, orthoplantations, and the preservation of the primary molar. And they conclude that all rehabilitations by dental implant show the better general outcomes in terms of survival rate success and quality life and self-esteem and the treatment function. In detail, the success rate of implant pretty high among all kind of approaches, up to 95%. And also satisfaction of patients also most highest, up to 90%. So this is why the most of dentists prefer to dental implants. But in this study, did not include orthodontic space closure. So in my presentations, we will cover the aesthetic outcomes for each missing tooth from incisor to the premolar, and we want to compare between implants and orthodontic space closure. And here is our digital-driven orthodontic treatment protocol. So when you face the congenital missing teeth, I prefer to apply a virtual simulation to make a realistic treatment plan, and it helps to make it more efficient for the patient treatment outcomes. So I'm show the first implant case for the missing on the lateral edge, and he's a 12-year-old boy, and he was complaining about his tooth, ugly tooth. And when you see his mouth, you can notice that there's a peg on the right side and the midline deviation. We also can see the mild crowding on the mandible. It was class 1, and we found that the 3 teeth are missed, and the lateral incisor and the canine on both sides. So definitely we try to reduce number of implants, and we plan for the single implant upper lateral incisor, and maybe you can let build up on the peri-retrolis. And at the same time, we need to distalization on the mandible. So this is very helpful to also correct the midline deviation. So we can see the realistic tooth movement by virtual simulation. So only 1 or 2 millimeters of the perfection of the posterior segments is pretty realistic. And here's the progress. And we consolidate the space for the implants and finish distalization on the mandible. Here's final. And after finishing case, he's only 16. We have to wait more than 3 years. So we have to consider about retention protocol. We have a choice, removable and fixed. In this case, we use fixed top because the boy, they don't like normally livable appliances. So we apply the more mini screw, the thicker. So we call it mini implant supported planning. So we don't need the patient compliances. And let me look at the alveolar bone. The retention protocol is helpful to maintain the space. Also, you have to preserve the patient alveolar bone. So the alveolar bone of the incisor always vulnerable. In this case, it's not big enough for the implant. So we try to keep this alveolar bone, and I think it might be helpful to maintain their bone from this screw. And here is after installation of the panics, and after 2 years later, we replaced by the implants. So his final restorations, and when you look at the implant side, it's pretty aesthetic. And periodontist, they apply some gingival graft on the surgical area. So how about result after 6 years later? This is 6 years later. His crown looks good and little bit gingival discolorations. Another thing is gingival recession on the premolar. So when you're thinking about substitutions, you have to aware about the gingival recession and surgical revision. So you have to you have to guide the patient to toothbrushing very carefully. So in this case, you know that distal simulation is helpful for determining space redistributions, and also you have to make your retention protocol because you have to wait more than 4 years. So we can choose removable fixed type of retainer depending on patient age and patient comprehensive. So I showed some many implant supported planning in first case. This approach is already introduced by Dr. Wemis and Dr. Madsen more than 10 years ago. And they show different types of the approach, and their success and stability is quite different from the 2 years up to 10 years. So we need more evidence about stability of this kind of supportive temporary planning. But I think it is helpful to maintain space. Also, it is helpful to maintain the alveolar bone quality and quantity, which is make easier for the future implantation with the minimum operations. So we moved the lower incisor message. He is a 70-year-old man, and his complaint was anterior postback. So negative overjet, and you can see three incisor of the mandible, and you can see also space behind the canine. The patient want a facial profile, change of facial profile, because he was severe class 3 and with the mandibular bone massive. So we definitely suggest surgical approach. So our first option is make a space for the missing area, because we need to correct the inclination of the incisor. If you proper inclination of incisor, it is helpful to improve the facial profile. We can increase mandibular setback. So this setup shows that without the distalization, we can make enough space for the lower missing area. So we plan for the mandibular setback around 12 mm and we make the space. At the end of treatment, we know that we could make enough alveolar bone width and enough alveolar bone height, I thought. And here is a change of the profile after surgical approach. And finally, we place implants by periodontist. How about the frontal view? Are you satisfied? Yeah, it looks good, but when you look at the gingiva, we have to worry about discoloration. After 3 years later, how about the gingiva? They're getting darker. So, missing on the mandible, we have to care about alveolar bone. There's a higher prevalence of discoloration. So in this case, in the lower missing, when you decide the treatment planning between space closure and the space open, you are thinking about facial profile and the inclination of the incisor. And if you decide to incisor, it may be bad occlusion. So to improve, optimize canine molar relationship, I recommend use digital simulation. And if you try to open the space, we also thinking about quantity and quality of our durable. I show another case, the implant on the mandibular incisor. After 6 and 7 years later, you can see the supra occlusions of the lower incisor. And here's the 7 years later, we complain about marginal incisor discrepancy on her incisors. And you can see some inflammations and discrepancy of the incisor level. So we have to change the crown, but she didn't know. She needed additional crown in the future. So there was a claim about this issue. So from these two cases, we have two problems from the dental implant. First is discoloration, and second is improper of the crown. This discoloration is from the insufficient alveolar bone on the vocal plate. So why there is insufficiency? It was studied from University of Connecticut, Professor Ruben, and he compared alveolar width and height change after orthodontic space open. They compared to the control side, and they found that the alveolar bone width still insufficient compared to control. There's loss of the bone around 30% in their width and 12% in their height. So even though you make the space for the implant, we have no doubt the bone is not enough, including missing teeth. In addition, when you make the bone and open the space, can you preserve the alveolar bone? Most of the case, we have to wait a couple of years, sometimes more than 4 years. And during the time goes on, alveolar bone, their depth and their width and their height also decrease up to 2% and 4% annually. So even though you can make the bone, this bone going to be getting reduced. So, if you lose the bone, but if you plan for implant, it is a worse story. Discoloration, sometimes bone missing. So very difficult on the bone side is missing. And the other issue is intra-position of the crown. We can commonly see because dental implant for missing incisor implies dental implant in only adults. So only adults, their slow motion rate is 3 times higher than older age. It's around 1% annually. So for example, if you crown in only adults, after 4 or 5 years, their incisor discrepancy more than 0.5 to up to 0.7. So which means some cases we have to consider about the crown. So we have to instruct the parents, the patients and their parents about this issue. This is another case, missing incisor. We put the implants when he was 19, and we follow up the 5 years to get the retention. Crown looks good, but there's an improper position around 1.5 millimeter. And he claimed about this crowns, and we have to claim the next second crown again. So what our solution? Yeah. Dental implant is the best option, but we need some alternative. She is also missing on the mandible, and we make the space, but not the implant space. We just apply conventional metal bridge. Look at her bone. Their convex in this area is very concave, so which it does not include implants. So look at the outcome compared to the dental implant on the right side. So there's some of this discoloration. The traditional one is sometimes good. And her smile, we cannot see the discoloration anymore. But there's also a problem because of failure. Only this factor failure. Their risk is failure, around 30% within 5 years. So nowadays we recommend one wing cantilever instead of the double wing cantilever bridge because of a higher success rate using the one wing up to 90%. So it can be one of the options. How about this patient, 22-year-old, he had two missing on the mandible. You cannot make a single cantilever bridge here. You have to place dental implants. How can you make a great outcome? So in this case, we need the periodontal, we need some special consideration in the periodontal surgery. We need a special care, such as a guided bone regeneration. With the help of autogenous bone graft, including bone morphogenic proteins, we can increase buccal alveolar bone thickness. Look at the huge amount of the buccal bone. So after operation, we can place 2 implants on the mandible without any recessions, any discolorations. And after 4 years, with the abundant on the mandibular gingiva and 10 years retention, it's quite stable. So we are orthodontists, but we have to know about other approaches. So we need to collaborate for the better outcomes. So now we show the orthodontic space project. Here is an incisor missing. She is a 7-year-old female. She complained about anterior crossbite. And there was missing on the lateralis, and also we can see the peg on the maxilla. So from panoramics, you can see the missing lateral incisor on the right side and peg. She was class 3. And we plan for the correction of anterior crossbite by face mask. In this case, maybe we are planning for space closure for the future. So when you apply orthopedic course, I recommend oval corrections. So we make the oval correction and make the class 1 and waiting for her growth. And this 14-year-old, we starting second phase, she still have a large overjet. So we have a choice. We can close a space after extraction of the peg. Here, the patient's mouth, the missing space almost closed. So you have a choice. What's your choice? Do you want to open the space for the dental implants or protraction of the canine? But protraction of canine is away from the symmetry. In this case, you have 2 choices: open the space or extraction pegs and closing space. It is also helpful to correct the midline deviations and make them more symmetric. So you have 2 choices. One is asymmetric, the other is symmetric. So first, we make the space for the dental implant. By simulation, if you want to make the space for dental implant right side, we are planning more than 4 mm of distalization. Sometimes, we cannot make it. It's too much distalization. So instead of the first plan, we decide the extraction of peg, and we just space closure and protraction of the right segments around 2 mm. And we're planning for the class 2 molar relationship in this case. So here, open the space for the premolar eruption and the space closure of the incisor. And to improve the incisor exposure, we wear the she wear the elastic. And this is the final outcome. And here is the occlusions. So we make the symmetry and the 1-year retention. So we are ready for final restorations for these patients. And in this case, when you see the unilateral missing on the maxilla, we have to pursue symmetry. And by virtual alignment, you can choose most effective treatment option. And if you plan for the space closure for the future, you have to thinking about oval corrections, overjet. So it is helpful to next second phase for the extraction of abnormal tooth. And in this case, also similar, 7-year-old boy, and he also complained about anterior crossbite. we can see the two teeth missing, upper lateral teeth, and also he had pegs on the right side. Pegs and it's missing always come together, and there's one more missing, premolar. So he was class 3 tendency, and we plan for linear appliance and face mask. Then we are monitoring patient's mandibular growth. But at this time, we are concerned about extraction of the pad. So we have concerned about overcorrection. So here's the anterior by corrections, and then after extraction of pad in all these stages. After that, we're checking the growth of mandible, and mandible grows huge. So we plan for second phase of the face mask. This is helping to close upper space, but not completely. So after protraction of the upper dentition, we can protract the canine at the same time with the face mask. Right first, only during that. It is helping to close the space. Because at this time, we cannot apply minuscule. Their failure rate pretty high, up to 30%. So we just use face mask. After canine close space closure, we cut the supporting up the premolar and continue to protraction of the premolar. Then by this process, we can completely close the space and protract the whole dentition of the maxilla. Then we are waiting for the second phase because he has still mandibular deviation. So after extraction of the low premolar, maybe we can change his overjet and right deviation for the future. So we can see the nice parallelism of the canine and premolar. So we are waiting for the second. In this case, for the missing on the maxilla, early detection and early incision is very important, and also purchase and symmetry. And if you plan for some orthopedic appliances, we are thinking about this approach is helpful for space closure or space open. So we can decide when you apply the kind of appliances at the same time. So, move to the lower incisor, 3 incisor. She is class 2, 10-year-old. She complained about upper protrusion and the congenital missing. Large overjet more than 9 mm and 3 incisor on the mandible. And in this case, yeah, we are thinking about extraction of the bicuspid. Class 2, protrusion of incisor. But she's still growing. We have another choice. But 3 incisor, class 2, very tall. In this case, we can apply the functional appliance with the head here. Then we can check the mandibular growth. It is lucky. The response is pretty good. After 9 months, mandibular growth